Anikep, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. Now 8 p.m. Just 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Hello.
So we can start, right?
Surely we can. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone. It's Alamgir Hossain, Deputy Coordinator, Monitoring Evaluation Learning, TIB, and Admin of Digital Mill Hub. It's my great pleasure that all the emerging M&E professionals from national and international level have joined today. Thanks everyone to keep with us. Those who are new today, I would like to take opportunity to say something about Digital Mill Hub. Digital Mill Hub is a virtual open learning platform for solely M&E professional with the vision of connecting all the M&E professional worldwide under one umbrella and build a strong sustainable network to increase professional knowledge so that we can share our knowledge, experience, document, and opinion. Feel free to ask any your query here related to M&E. I'm excited that near about 2,000 registered members from more than 111 countries are already connected here till today. There are learning approaches are going to maintain through Digital Mill Hub 3OA, monthly webinar, document sharing through digital social media platform like WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, and our website. And another one in inclusive training related to M&E for deep learning. So keep connect with us at Digital Mill Hub, like Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, YouTube channel, and website. We believe connection is most important for career growth. Today, 14th webinar on accountability. And accountability is an integral part of MEL component facilitated by Ms. Anika Mahadevan as a speaker today. Currently, she is working as manager accountability and effectiveness with Save the Children International at Bangladesh. She has around more than 16 years experience as business communication and brand strategy, framework design, policy advocacy, leading its large team, support multi-stakeholder accountability for program effectiveness, collaborative tools development, online feedback response mechanism, and project management. Before Save the Children International, she worked with Prague, Novo Nordics, Grameenphone, Ozilibi, and Mother in different positions. She completed Bachelor of Social Science, Mass Communication and Journalist from Dhaka University. Already all of you know about him through recent my video content and advertisement or other communication channel. Before we start, we'd like to share some housekeeping rule for everyone. Your microphone is muted and you will get open discussion or feedback at the end of the session. The webinar is being recorded. You will get similar recording and PPT after the webinar. So keep question or suggestion at your mind. I am requesting to Anikapa to start your session. Over to you.
Thank you, Alamgir Bhai, and good evening from Bangladesh, everyone. I'm really happy to see a large number of participants today, and it's such an honor to get your time, a valuable time out of everything. So, uh, I request you to make this session more participatory as instructed by Alamgir Bhai, with your questions, suggestion, debate, queries, anything in chat box. I can't promise to reply right away, but I surely promise to get back to every one of you within a day or two. And I hope the intersession becomes it transform into a learning sharing session rather a webinar. So before going to the agenda and all that, what is accountability as in person? If I ask you, or if you ask me, I would definitely say that it's an understanding the need of an individual and or the group, and or acknowledging it and act upon it. So take a pause for a few seconds and think that how would you have felt as a child if you wanted to be a musician, but you end up being a physician or doctor as your parents have planned it for you. I'm sure that everyone most of us are laughing because the millennials have suffered it. So accountability, the gap, the lack of accountability from the parents section to the children to the minority was always a always a missing link. So it is very much evident from our family to institution to organization to corporation. Accountability is everywhere. The framework was missing inside the house, inside the organization. I'm sure we are probably today getting our head banged together what to be done to make a comprehensive framework. Look back to your organization and what can be done. So I am stopping my video for concentration on the presentation. So Alamgir bhai, is it okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay, just a second. The slide mode is not working. Alamgir bhai, can I stop sharing and you facilitate the sharing so that I can go through it? How about that? For some technical difficulties, Alamgir bhai, am I audible? um, Alamgir bhai, can you hear me?
It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
I'm stopping my screen because it's not in a slide mode. So you please share and I will contact.
Yes, I am sharing it. Right? Are you showing?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay,
You can go to slide mode.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just a second. And thanks for your patience. We can go to objective of next slide. Yeah. So it's a quick round that we are going to discuss the relation between the historical phenomena and the current context, and the context with accountability framework, development sector, and this and that, challenges, question answer. You all have all seen that. So our discussion will go as per our questions, queries, maybe. So next slide, please. Yeah. Let me have a quick introduction about myself because these are online, and it would have been great to see you, all of you in person. But let me give a short background of mine. Yeah, I worked in advertising industry. Started as an advertising professional, creative, and then in Grameenphone, I worked on market communication. I led BRAC education program, head of class, head of communication, Nordisk. It was a very short span in health sector, and now currently I'm in Save the Children, as you know. Bottom left, you see the house where I grew up. I grew up in Shirajganj. It's my Nanabari, grandfather's area. What shaped me today? I love to walk around cities. I really dislike judging people by the look. And the right side, you see that the discrimination of children and the unfortunate events happening. It hurts me a lot. Bottom left is my son. We actually deploy the accountability mechanism within ourselves. We want to make our life more participatory. I play guitar and I draw sometimes. So next slide. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an
The role, my role.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Alamgir bhai. So my role basically supports to country office and Cox's Bazar Office 52 projects. As you know, that Save the Children has a wide range of projects, diversification in terms of development and humanitarian. I support to Asia regional community for collective knowledge and tactical skills like feedback response mechanism, information sharing strategies. And I contribute to Asia country office and member offices. As a global working group, I support on accountability in HR, in collaboration and partnership enhancement and capacity strengthening. For global advocacy, I'm a part of a research team in Charles Darwin University, and it's on and off. It's publishing a very interesting paper on accountability in the models in consortia. So, and even President Coordinator's Office, I'm a member, a technical member. So next slide, please. Yeah. So in MEL system, as we already said that it's always MEL, MEL. So where does the accountability comes from? Because it's really time to shift the power. Shift the power of the voicing on our programming to the participants. The beneficiary participants, as you name. It is high time to understand their context and listen to them, and so that context will be adapted in our programming. So that the program or organization exactly have an idea. uh, is the planning or programming right, contextual, and is it effective? The background will come next, but the good side of being accountable is that you earn respect and trust out of collaborative partnership. You create ownership in program of the community people. You give them the ownership, so you ensure participation of community. You have a better understanding of people, what they need or what they want as an assistant. uh, you improve relationship with community, and acceptance is higher by community. Your risk and fraud uh, are reduced will be reduced if you are accountable. uh, Reduce accountability basically reduce the risk of harm to people we seek to assist. It might be caused by a breach of code of conduct by our staff or partner staff or vendors, kind of anything. And last but not least, a strong accountability system support to deliver high quality programming. So in MEAL is all integrated with monitoring, learning. As you know that from three aspects, learning is captured. It's one from monitoring report, another is from research, and another third one is from accountability. So once the framework or the feedback response mechanism is there, you are getting learning opportunity in day-to-day time. So next slide, please. Why accountability is fundamentally important. I would like to, Alumni, you can just tap to make the whole screen visible. You can see the Boeing, right? So Boeing, yeah, Alumni, yes. It's the biggest aircraft, right? Everyone knows. So after it's due to lack of accountability, it lost almost 20 billion fines. It had a fine on 20 billion on its head, but 60 billion indirect loss more than that. Why? Because it did not make the participatory method from its employee about the software installation that caused more than 300 lives. There were multiple plane crash, Boeing crash back in 18 and 19, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's not. It's October 29 and March 20, right? So hundreds of lives were gone just because the management prioritized only deadline. Management thought about budget constraint over safety, and it didn't hear its employees. So next slides, I'm going to show you that accountability is not only downwards, it's upward, horizontal, and what. I'll give the next slide. So this is a common framework that majority of the organization who have adapted. It basically works in a four sphere. One is information sharing, one is participation, one is consultation, and feedback response mechanism. This is a moderate framework organization vary. So before going to the framework, we need to understand the historical importance. What is it? Yeah, you can go to next slide. You have heard the name of grand bargain. Let me tell you a short story. You remember even United Nations Ban Ki-moon, right? So he had a long history in UN. So whatever he planned, that in 2016, just a second, just a second. Okay. So yeah, thank you. The grand bargain commitment, where did it come from? And it is very much related to accountability. That's why I'm briefing on the history. So in 2016, there was a signatory committee in UN who have identified nearly $12 billion gap in funding strategy. Why? Because they saw that over the 50 years of funding, there's still a gap of the need of the people and the funding strategy. So the effectiveness was not there. To mitigate the gap, it the Grand Bargain Committee, which has right away 66 signatories all over the world, from all over the world, all the big donors or the aid organizations are the signatories. So they have come to a consensus that uh, the programming has to be participative. So out of 10 commitment of Grand Bargain, there is a commitment 6. It says that it's a participatory revolution. So from there, a core humanitarian standard was rejoined or adjusted. That you can see at core 4 and 5. 5 points on in core humanitarian standards specifically shows that accountability is fundamentally important to maintain the humanitarian work, humanitarian response based. Yeah, just previous slide for a minute. I'll give it just previous slide. So core humanitarian standard 4 says that humanitarian response based on information, participation, and feedback. And 5 says that feedback are welcome, so that you respond to the feedback and you act upon that. So next slide. Yeah. And the donor, what about the donor and aid organization, what they're thinking? So current funding context and aid organization and donors commit to improve leadership and governance mechanism at the level of humanitarian country team, okay, and cluster sector mechanism to kind of ensure engagement and develop. Second is develop common standards. So eh, all the other organization who have um, framework is working separately, but community is not confined to one place, one race and one geography. It's multi-dimensional, multilateral. So it needs to be a common standards and coordinated approach. So aid organizations are working towards that and strengthen local dialogue. You have already heard that localization is the one of top priority from UN convention, or name any other convention that you can harness from development world or social context. The strengthening local dialogue and harness technologies. Technology is important. Integrating AI is important now, and build systematic links. So this is referring to referral mainly between feedback and corrective action, and adjusting programming and
Anikapa, are you hearing? Hello. Hello, Anikapa. শুনতে পাচ্ছি না। Anikapa, are you okay? Hello.
yes, okay.
Okay.
Am I audible now? Yeah,
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
out for few seconds. All right. Okay. The linkage, we have to understand how accountability is linked with our participants, our donors, our internal programs, our staff and partners. So next slide, I'm going to show you before going to linkage. you have to let me tell a bit about accountability framework in Save the Children. It's yeah, I'm coming to the linkage, but to make you understand that Save the Children, how it works, it works with information sharing and two-way communication. It works with participation. As we work for children, they are our primary stakeholders, and community is the secondary, and feedback and reporting mechanism. And we are putting a heavy weightage in information sharing and two-way communication. Why? I'm coming to the next. Let's go to the linkage section. Yeah. So the upward linkage. What is upward linkage in accountability? Next slide. Okay, yeah. Next one. So
okay.
accountability is not a grievance. Yeah, this is not a grievance to Save the Children and to anyone, obviously, and it's neither a choice for us. It's a mandate in Save the Children. So how we are linking the accountability, I'll show you in the next slide. Please. Yeah. So at left, you say upward. Who are the upward accountability for its donor government, the government of Bangladesh? Obviously, the system strengthening unit, because we, as a development partners, we are working with government as a strengthening, technical, skilled organization. And obviously United Nations are one of the upward linkage of accountability, that all the reports are going there and analyzing. It's even resident coordinators agenda. So the downward linkage mainly goes to main our participants as primary. So it is segregated by sex, gender, age. The secondary participants are parents, community leads, government authorities, civil society, name anything around the primary participants. Our internal accountability obviously goes to program projects, safeguarding team, advocacy, HR, IT, if not finance and others as well. You can add and you can like. And the horizontal, what we mean by our monitoring and evaluation, our partners, our peer networks, risk and compliance, they are all horizontal as we act as a one. So every sphere, the accountability system is imminent and evident. So just a quick browse. Next slide. Where does accountability stand in Save the Children? So yeah, next slide. I will go quickly because it's in very much into our vision. I mean, Save the Children Vision 2030. It is in a policy statement. It is in the quality framework, which is mandatory. Next slide. It is in our country strategic plan, and accountability is measured in key performance indicator. The highest indicators of the children, global, region, and national right away dealing is accountability. So now I will go to the framework, and the first of the framework is very important. It's information sharing and two-way communication. You can go next slide. I'll give my. Yeah. See, information sharing, it's all over two-way communication. If I talk to you and if you don't talk back, it's not a communication at all. So what do you do? What do we do actually with information? So next slide. There are some fundamental basic information we need to share. Obviously, the Plan International or other organizations obviously follow the same. And I would like to present obviously Save the Children. So there are multiple points that you are seeing in the screen. That the project name, target location, time frame, name of the partner organization. This is very common. Everyone knows the name of the partner organization, but if you don't deliberately tell your organization's priority area, it will be distracted, because not every organization can do a lot of things or everything, and participant needs to know the limitations of the organization as well. So finances, it's question whether you want to say whether it is relevant, because in few cash distribution, we need to tell our participants, right, that what kind of cash we are going to disperse. So it depends on context. So who will benefit from this project and how we propose to select them? Because it is a lot of cases have come from BRAC and Save the Children. I have seen that so project beneficiary selection is a fundamental issue. So you need to give to the adults the very valid point why we have choose X and why we haven't chose the Y. So, and what will happen when they give feedback, and how they can participate in the decision making. So these are the fundamental information we share as a message. Yeah. And next slide, please. Almost 99%. Yeah, we could have. Almost 99% of our project has information sharing strategy, and it is evident. It is we have evidence that all the projects have this plan. The plan is very interesting. It has few sections that who are we talking to, what is their age, what is their preferences of communication method, what is the preference channel, when we are going to give them this kind of information, who is gonna give it to them, and when, because information needs to be timely, needs to be contextual, needs to be very planned. So if one participant even miss out to information, it creates a gap in between program and the participants understanding. Number one. Number two, when they give feedback, we have to receive, because this is not a mandate. This is not a choice. I say it's a mandate to receive feedback from anyone. We welcome anyone's feedback. So once the information is missed out, the chunk of people, the group of participant, or the one participant even, they miss out a lot. They repeatedly ask questions that we already resolved. So this is a very planned information process, so as you see that for children, we took meeting session, we have produced poster stickers, we have involved peer facilitators, as they are very much acceptable community in community and with the children. We have community health workers, more popular than our program officers, right? Because they have acceptability as well. So can you please tap? There are adults where whom we reach out to project cup meetings. We share this information there, community meetings and home visit, co-tier meeting, training, posters, miking, as you name, and as appropriate. So going forward, how we implement this? Next slide. Yeah. So first, projects make contextualized information. The message, how the component will deliver the message. Then the message, once the message is formulated, it disseminated with all the steps, because anyone can bring feedback. Once sharing the message, we know that there will be some feedback. So it's a two-way communication. Then what happened when dissemination, after the dissemination with all the stuff, the rule holder deploy the following information sharing plan. Rule holders means there are people who, as I told you before the slide, that there are people who are assigned to share this information. So it is embedded with the MEL plan of Save the Children. Alamgir Bhai, next slide. You will see that there are posters, contextual poster stickers, one for children, one for adults, that what we want to tell them about accountability, how they will reach us. We want to promote our one of the most prominent channel, I would say, hotline, toll-free hotline. But yes, there are multiple ways. We have almost 22 channels established in Save the Children. I'm coming to that side next. Okay, next is participation. Next slide. Just look at the poster. It's very interesting and very colorful. One is writing, another one is very much interested, the red frock, the girl child. and someone is the boy is looking at her. He is not attentive to the section, and someone is very much reluctant and not interested the process. So this is participation. You name gender, you name female, it's very much there. You name people with disability, participation will be something different. But participation is all about a set of skill, a very highly skilled communication is required. So why it is important in Save the Children? In the next slide, yeah, it's a as we work for children, so participation is a right as per UN Convention. So it's integral to our vision. Obviously, theory of change is with a voice, and all programs are expected to monitor and report on a global indicator. As I said, the key performance indicator is very much prominent for accountability. Next slide. For the first time, children participation policy is it's on a verse to be finalized. Why the policy needs to participation, especially children's participation policy is required? Because there are some missing links, limited because participation is limited to right to be heard in it is a kind of tokenistic right away. We bring children in the usually not we as a Save the Children, but it's our tendency to be bring people participants in researches and assessment, and then it's gone. So what is happening after they came? It has to be very much aligned with the basic requirement from core humanitarian standard. So you see, activity based, right? And very little investment is there in participation or community consultation, whatever you name. So budget constraint, it was evident because we never planned. I mean, all the organization never planned, maybe. So uncritical attitude towards children participation. So critically, if you say this, uh, we have to be more modest, moderate, and it's a cultural and it's a behavioral change. Communication skill is required, right? So the set of skill of behavior change needs to address for participation. It's long run. It's a long distance call, and we are preparing the policy. I Save the Children is preparing the policy to mitigate the gap. In the next slide, you will see that Save the Children basically goes with the three types of participation. The middle one is more popular, but we consult with children when in research analysis, planning strategies. It's more or less led by the adults. But collaborative participation, it influences both processes. Something like program planning and designing. Children has to be there, and it's a complementary. The outcomes of any given activity will be discussed by the children and the adults. So it's a collaboration and child-led participation. This is the most attractive participation. Not all the program could have still yet to make it happen. But yes, there are few projects and programs we are doing it very well in child protection and in emergency response. So children may establish and manage own organization for purposes. For an example, so child participation is very interesting and it is very much expected as a social development organization. It's very much expected to deploy. So why participation is very much sensitive, important, critical, because there are 9 basic requirements that we need to understand and it needs to be checked. Yeah, next slide. You see, participation needs to be transparent and informative, right? What does it mean, transparent? And this opportunity and limitation should be clearly defined with the children or community. Their roles and responsibility should be well informed. They need to understand why community, why and how they might be benefit from this session. Alamgiba, you can just tap so the write-ups are visible on the screen. participation needs to be voluntary because children have right to withdraw anytime. Children or community, so they need to have we need to have a prior consent, clear communication, right? So anytime they can withdraw, as I said, and sufficient and appropriate information and time should be provided for being a participatory feedback session. Next slide, please. So the the participation has to be respectful. They should freely express. Effective facilitation can ensure that no children is humiliated. Has to be gender sensitive. I'm not going to read out everything, but you understand why relevancy. The topics needs to be relevant, contextual to their life. They has to be. The children has to be encouraged to identify issues that mostly regarding their life. So language considerations are very big factor. It has to be relevant. So geographical diversity obviously works a lot, and children should be clear on what they can and cannot influence. Right. Then next slide. Yeah. So nine basic requirements needs to be child friendly. It needs to be inclusive. Child friendly means if you deal with community, it has to be community friendly. The community of hill tracks and the community of plain land won't act same. So we have to understand that there might mothers might need lactating mothers might need different tools than children than men, right? So yeah. uh, and the next slide, there are a few interesting photos that you can see that we have almost 8 child friendly tools developed by Save the Children Bangladesh and adapted from global for a few of them. It's age assessment, there is starfish, there are risk mapping, there are dot voting. I'm not gonna elaborate this, but these all require 30-40 minute session and one facilitator and one note taker. The facilitator has to be super well adjusted, well welcomed by the participants. That he has to or she has to be very lively to break the ice, and all the exercises we usually do in organizations. Same as the community needs to feel relaxed and safe to talk to you, and there has to be a safeguarding protocol. So another two requirements from nine basic CHS that supported by has to be next slide, Alamgir bhai. The participation session has to be supported by training. All meals, all staffs needs a proper training. The training shall not be confined within meal workshop, and it should not be a tick mark, because we have seen that it doesn't work. It takes a lot of time to take preparation before we conduct such a session. So, and dedicated time and access has to be there for employees or staffs, and safe and sensitive to risk. Obviously, children are most sensitive, most difficult to speak, make them speak about their. And this is a cultural phenomenon. No minority can have an idea that their voice can be influenced. So the sensitivity, safety risk are there for children, and they are aware, and there are abuses from program partner. I'm not talking about Save the Children. I'm talking about all the things, right? There were cases we have seen in Oxfam and Fiji, that why the whole organization just abolished from after the Fiji earthquake. So needs to be safe and sensitive to risk, and it has to go through a good in monitoring system. So MEL has a very good role there. And last is accountable. Children see the results of their participation. They are coming for 30 minutes, 40 minutes session out of their designed. Next slide. Right. So when children spending time or community spending time out of their prescribed uh, project plan, they would certainly look up to you and us the why they had come and what is the outcome. So we are accountable to them for participatory action as well, and to implement and make it evident we have taken some steps and how did. Just next slide. Okay, bye. So there are some prerequisites for implementing participation. MEL leads the technical capacities in Save the Children to uh, so that the session can be conducted by our partners, programs, or the staffs, MEL staffs. And there is a quarterly session. Each of the project has a quarterly session, participatory session. Each of the project who has children directly reach out to children must, and we do it religiously, and we generate evidence-based knowledge product and we disseminate, and it is embedded with meal plan as well. And then third of the framework is feedback response mechanism, the most interesting one, and I'm sure all of a majority of the organization who has accountability mechanism has is known with this system. Next slide, please. And second next. Feedback response. So how we do it? Before that, I would definitely say next slide. There is a real-time platform, screenshots of real-time online platform. This is one of the strengths in Save the Children Bangladesh. Technically, we are providing capacities to global teams to build this. It's a very well integrated online platform. One feedback is received from southern part of Bangladesh, and the head office management staff can see it immediately. So if there is a very risky feedback is coming and popping up to the focal person, it is being addressed immediately. So the online FRM has providers information. There are categories, obviously, to make the data privacy, to reveal the data privacy. There are geographies, as in partner center. If it is in Rohingya response, there are camps. There are feedback B details, and there are options to resolve instantly if we have enough information of the project, and if someone asks about an information or the assistance that we are not entitled to give, we give the feedback response instantly. It's resolved, but the report is already generated in head office. So you can see that the dashboard, these are all snapshots. I gave you the link of the public link, obviously, the dashboard here. There are multiple, as much as you can segregate the data, want to segregate as a project holder, program lead, or program manager. You can see if your project has resolved all the issues within a timeline, if your project has what is the status of the feedback overall, gender, as per channel preference. Channels means the 22 channels we have set in Save the Children for receiving feedback. So you can see which channels are mostly receiving feedback, and if you look at the report that accountability team generates, they will understand what was the preference, what was the learning. Not all the projects we can analyze, but we always track and inform the projects. So in the next slide, you will see that the feedback process is basically into 4 steps. Once we receive a dedicated role holder, data entry personnel, or volunteer, it receive feedback, and it goes to online FRM. Then another role holder who is accountability focal, he can or she can be a resolution authority. He or she categorize and verify the feedback. This is very important because if you, for an example, if you receive a feedback which is showing minor dissatisfaction, and we are giving an input as a information requirement, so the timeline of the resolution and the depth of the feedback might be lost. So verification is very important. After verification, feedback is supposed to be resolved within a timeline. Few category of feedbacks has a timeline for 4 weeks. you have 2 weeks, you have 6 weeks, but after the time has expired, the online platform will definitely pop up in your mobile, in your email, in your director, to your director, that these are not solved resolved. And closing the loop, it requires program and meal. It triggers a combination from meal and program, because we are still struggling in closing the loop formally. We are doing it very much informally still today, and struggling today evidencing it. So yeah. So next slide. I can see a comment, but I'm gonna be able to answer it right away. So there are categories. A quick category, you can see we have 7 categories. People can thank. We ask why is thanking us. We want to know what is going on. Well, we receive requests for information. This is very very interesting information they request. Obviously, assistance, minor and major dissatisfaction, and obviously safeguarding protocol. You can see in category 6 that it is from by non Save the Children staff or representative, and obviously we welcome feedback from children from all aspects, all sectors, or be it under Save the Children participant or not, because it's a one community approach. And the next slide, you will see that few of our channels, we say proactive and reactive. Proactive what, where we are proactively reaching out for feedback. It's in meeting, focus group, home visit, obviously post distribution. We have mothers listening group. It's very very interesting because mothers have a they have a distinguished characteristics while we want to talk with them, and if we break the ice in a very comfortable zone, they represent their children's need, so child youth focals, once the children focals are there, when the adolescent focals are there, the feedback is something different that we never hear of when we seek out and as an adult. So there are hotline, toll-free hotline, feedback box, obviously some working and some are not working, and there are very interesting insight why feedback box is not working, that it's related to your belief system. The entire system is very and it's another story to tell. uh, okay, next slide please. Yeah. Most important, why we will entertain a feedback and how our program will be benefited out of it, right? So it's a correlated things. Once we analyze FRM, then we document it by reporting monthly, quarterly to regions, and monthly to our sectors. So it produces some learning material, right? So meal and program development quality captures this learning, and it's another report generated of learning. It's disseminated within our programs. So then accountability makes be a standing agenda with our program and partners. This is very important, the left bottom, because once the accountability needs to be on the table, on the discussion, what kind of feedback we are receiving, what are the status, as we showed in online FRM. So what is the status and what is the trend of the status? So accountability team basically still in Save the Children, they were capturing these sort of analysis and sharing, and it will be a good practice if our program and partners adopt this, and we are very much hopeful about it. And the you can see that once we are analyzing FRM, there are accountability focal involved, monitoring involved. So what I said few slides back, that it's downward, upward, horizontal. It's You can see that all the sectors except the donor. Donor is there in documentation, and the report is going to donor. So everyone is related to this effectiveness, program effectiveness. I give a short example. There are there was a feedback from children that they want to play in a barren land, which is not entitled under Save the Children, but it is entitled with some other actors. So we had no budget, but we tried to discuss in a combined forum where we have access, that if we can manage a place for them, what can be done, and it's done. So we might not have the budget, but the other actors can have. So it's a beautiful thing, accountability and the mechanism how it affects our program. So next slide, you will see that how we influence decision making, that I said earlier slide, that we summarize the report to donor. We quarterly disseminate the uh, sharing. I mean, quarterly disseminate to employee and region, and monthly sector wise. Our prerequisite to make it happen, because it's evidence generation is needed, learning capture is needed, and PM hub is needed. We have our own knowledge management platform. So these all three three prerequisite are gradually making it very much evident that program feedback and program decision making is coming to in an in the moderate shape now. But we have started recently, honestly speaking. Just a few. Next slide, please. We are almost on the end of our presentation. So next slide. Yeah. So few voice I have tried to show that uh, children in ring response, they say that we need to keep bending if we want to study this. It's painful. So the program has done a rigorous assessment of all the centers. They have they have arranged some schools and renovation that has been done. So the program adaptation by due to sorry, the program adaptation was done based on the feedback. There were long queue in trial system and health posts, so pregnant mothers are getting very much tired. So a lot of feedback came. So and then health system opened an OPD service from 9 a.m. because there were some insights that I'm not gonna describe it deliberately, but that's a very beautiful story. But the program adaptation happening there in a trial system health post. And in another, the lactating, sorry for the spelling mistake, the lactating mothers are at risk in health post. Why? Because while they opt out for health, their children basically runs out and goes out to play in the road, and that's very risky. So the sectors have taken establishment for child placenta, so and assigned some staff for children to take care of them. Um, what have we achieved basically? Next slide. Yeah, what have we achieved out of deploying this framework? Yeah, our 99% projects that we said that we have information sharing plan and it is operational now. We have unified contextual child and community friendly message for each component, each project, not component, sorry. And we are adjusting the appropriate channel based on the analysis of AFRM. Wherever we are seeing that hotline is not working, we opt out to the other channels based on the discussion of with participants. We have clarified our roles and responsibility to all this program and project staff. So it is very much important to make the first the internal linkage activated. Accountability in research. Yeah. So we have started capturing the learning, as I say, and we have successfully managed our partners, few of our partners, to deploy the take out this participatory action to the field on their own, because it was very much centered in MEL and more or less accountability staffs in Save the Children. But we have over 800 volunteers. We are trying to activate them through our partners, because they are, as I said, that the volunteers and community health workers, you name anything, they are most acceptable by the community. So the partners are really getting happy that it is one of the USP uniselling proposition for them as a quality program deployer. Um, as accountability is not yet popular. So our quarterly now the 60 or 65% children are providing feedback. It is surely 3 times higher than year of 2021. Our country office key performance indicator was amber for a long time. I mean, three consecutive 3 quarters, but right now it is in green. We have evidence for each of the component. That is another universe, I would say. So that's a small mistake. I'm sorry. So there are some learnings that acknowledgement of effective programming basically boosts interest to program, especially for program and partners, because effective programming and correlation between effective programming and FRM system needs to be understood and owned by the program first. So exchange of dialogue on roles and challenges, it really helps, especially with the partners. They face a lot of challenges, obviously, and we are trying to addressing it one by one. And partner, as I said, that partner has a good takeaway. These are our learning out of this quarterly reports. And next slide, yeah, you will see some challenges. I try to put it on the for the discussion. Yeah, previous slide, please. Yeah, I don't say it's a yeah. Accountability was a burden. That's why sarcasm. I just wrote it burden or not burden. It's a bottlenecks. Ownership. So basically, who owns it? MEL or accountability or program or partners? Still shady aspect. Next slide. Ownership is a big challenge. Participation is still unclear. How and when and who and how and what. So limited, we get very limited time in sensitizing accountability, let alone the participation, right? So still a major donor is not prioritizing accountability. I'm sure after the grand bargain 2023 to 26 has been signed off a few months ago, and now it will be a top priority, one of the top priority. And perception error, still accountability is perceived by a lot of actors as a grievance mechanism, that it will expose programs faults. It is absolutely not. Next slide, please. So what we did, forward planning, our low hanging fruit was contextualize. We contextualize our framework for the country office, and we had a 360-degree approach to involving everyone. Everyone means partner, projects, programs, MEL, IT, and volunteers. Everyone. Not all the 52 projects have been covered, but yeah, we are on the verge of doing it. Top of mind awareness is very important. Meeting on accountability reporting, making the report more accessible and more user friendly. It's very important. Our internal advocacy is very fundamentally high. And we have some midterm plan that we have done accountability countrywide assessment. We are going to publish this report with donors, even and peer organizations very soon. Country office system review. It has a systematic review for accountability. We are on a plan to pilot mechanism in system strengthening, which is very tough, very tricky. But hopefully we can do some pilot and take it up to the global region, if not regional level. Next slide. Yeah, there are some rules. You can see that on the left side. I am not going to read it out. Obviously, you will read out in your leisure time. That all staff has roles. Budget holders has roles. Sector directors. Next slide. The role holders are partnership, accountability focal, IT, procurement. Every role has a different aspect for accountability. So it can you can add, you can delete, but in programming there are multiple role holders. So I have put some reference links in the last slide, and yeah, the next one I will give my next one. Next slide, please. Yeah, it's time to question answer. How much time left.
Yeah. So finished today from Anikapa. So it's your
Yeah.
part, feedback session now, feedback, suggestion, and experience sharing session from now. So anyone can share or
Super.
question to chat box. By chat box, I captured the chat box and question through Anikapa. So floors
Yes.
yours for yours.
Yes. To the forum.
Actually, this session is very fantastic, though it's very difficult. Several children is practicing accountability, part of MEL component. So, hello guys. So you can ask question to Anikapa and you can share your experience here because this is the learning platform for all, everybody. So you can share your experience or question or anything. Love. Yeah.
Okay. One question I can see.
Yes.
Time to transform digital mail hub to digital mail. Sorry, that's yeah. It's a very good suggestion by Nazmul Huda that time to transform digital mail hub to digital meal hub. Include accountability, please.
Okay. Any
Uh,
question, please?
you can add or you
I'm
can obviously debate or
checking.
challenge because we are here to learn. That's what we're learning.
I'm checking chat box.
Tapon Kanti De, he said that it is highly appreciated for internalizing the relevant issue, accountability. Okay, development professional and activities. Oh, I have just captured, Mr. Tapun, that our learning was to sensitize all the actors at the same time and the same. Okay. Alamgir Bhai, can you meet? Okay. So, Mr. Tapun Kantite, if I understand your question correctly, what is the lesson learned on accountability approach in the implementation of development projects? Very important question because accountability emerges from emergency sector, as we all know. But in development sector, it is very new. But I know the resolution we see in Save the Children is the resolution and the program effectiveness is much more higher in development sector because there are partners who are running it. They are trying to adhere that, trying to understand. If you make them understand in a proper time, the capacity needs to be strength. Capacity needs a long time before we go to the field. That's our learning. And it's beautiful that the development sector or context has multiple and diversified projects in emergency as well. For an example, flood response. So how do we uh, make a mixed method of development context and an emergency response? So there are some learnings for project wise, and we give a lot of emphasis on understanding the need of the mechanism, understanding the need of their understanding, right? When we want to know what is their understanding on accountability, on participation, on paper. Where is the gap? We found the gap in data entry. Data quality is a huge challenge in development sector. So we are addressing on data quality. Once we gave few projects at pilot basis, we gave trainings on how do you capture feedback, what is the probing, what should be the probing question. So the quality is getting higher. Yeah. So I hope I could answer you back. And Masood from BRAC. Yeah.
Hi, Anikapa,
Masood.
thanks for the nice presentation. Yeah. So am I
Thank you.
audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So my question is, in terms of accountability, for example, most of the feedbacks are kind of information, asking for more information. At least some of the questions are kind of similar, that asking for more information. So if we follow that kind of systematic accountability, which has number of steps, for example, the participants need to phone a call or inform to another person, then the another person can write it down. So what about to follow some very straight cut feedback or accountability mechanism? For example, right now we saw that for different restaurants, other services, there are just 4 stars, 5 stars. If our being an NGO, if our service is good, if our session was good, then they just can, I mean, marked us with a number of stars. Maybe one of the methodology it could be. The other one is, I mean, I'm not sure in terms of service related feedbacks. For example, if people wants more services, then if the NGOs don't have the scope to provide such kind of services to the beneficiary, then people become they are not anymore interested to provide further feedback, because if they are not receiving the services they are not receiving what they are asked for, then they become interestless to provide further feedback. So in this case,
So
what could be the suggestion? So there is two question, one suggestion, the second one is question, and third one is, we know that feedback is kind of working when the audiences or when the participants are little bit uh, um, I mean, aware people. I mean, it's sometimes not working when the people are there. Most of them are not literate, or they are very poor. They are very marginalized. Sometimes feedback are not useful for them. So how
right.
we can do better for focusing this kind of participants? Yeah.
Thank you, Masbhai. Sorry, I didn't write, but I want to answer you as a whole. That you have seen that we have put a very big emphasis on information sharing strategy, because once you give timely, relevant information to your participants that we are entitled to do this and that, and your feedback, we have set up this kind of feedback, and you need to tell them what is feedback, what is actually it means. It's not aid, it's a feedback, it's your voice that we want to hear. We cannot do everything, but we promise that we will hear you. This is one important thing. And second one is, since they are not educated enough, they will understand only the relevant information in their way, so that there comes the visibility. The visibility is a very important fundamental thing, that if you go to farmers and they only understand the colors, you have to play with the colors. If you go to children, they understand the colorful posters, you have to go for posters, not even leaflets, because they will make a kite and fly it away. So it is contextual information that you can give to, it should be a planned way. And once you are giving it in a planned way, they will understand what kind of feedback you are sorting out and what is relevant to their life. They will definitely reach you out. Uh, so uh, that third question, I think I have, second or third I have covered. But important part is, once you, as a feedback response system, if you only confine into satisfaction tests, just a tokenistic, a tick mark for us as an organization. It's not the real picture. You have to, or we have to have make an enabling environment for creating a feedback. The multiple channels for a geography name, you Rangpur, maybe in hill tracks, there has to be multiple channels, and channels can be volunteers as well. Channels can be anything. It is contextual. So it is the enabling environment which will give them the intention to reach organization to brag. And I think I have covered. Masud bhai. Okay, there are a few couple of hands. Habib Jan Hina, right? And Teddy, Tapon Kantite. Habib, please carry on. Unmute yourself. Habib Diso, right?
Yes. Another
Yeah.
question from
Yes.
Asnafi from Ethiopia. Thank you, Anika, for great presentation. How do we contextualize accountability in the context of market system development, market system development. Okay, market system development, humanitarian response apart from child development program. Are you understand?
Market system development. Okay, I will get back with the answer later on, because might not be possible for me to answer right away. But I'm taking the question. It is market system, right?
Market system development and humanitarian response apart from child development program.
Okay, I request participant to write it down so that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and another from hand raise, Teddy.
Yes,
Please
yes,
question your.
Okay.
yes,
Hello. All right.
Yes.
Hello.
On by please.
Hello.
I'm Tapan, please.
Okay,
I'm Tapan, please.
okay. Carry on. Tough on.
And at first, I am to highly appreciate to host and organizers and Anikapa is and she highly cleanly presented the accountability approach. And also, this mentioned two things. This is the new initiatives in approach in the development field, and another is challenges discussions. The major donor is still not prioritize these systems approach in the at all level. So in the ML history in our country development context is really is new approach. So major thing is the my concern is that not approach is not focused only for the quantitative aspect. Is the context and the qualitative aspect is very prioritized because is the new ideas and introduced in our development field. So the focus on the quality aspects because participations is important role and in this fact. So
Very much.
and the Bragg question is the participation people are not interested to say something. This is not easy,
They
but
won't
it
be.
is need yeah, it is need to be enable environment with the
Right.
community or the participant and some different approach and methodology approach for the enable environment because many we saw the conflict CPRM conflict feedback mechanism somewhere not functioning. Box are empty all time, most of the time. So
Yes.
we think about
Right.
that why. So we
Why?
think about the flagging the insight of the decentralization of the field level, the why. So need to enable environment to put the feedback mechanism more efficiently functioning fluently. So
Yes.
another thing is that so Anikapa said that some organization, governance and behavior and so a continuous approach to how to easily interlink and
Interlinked. Right.
decentralize the interlink and freely decentralize the and atmosphere the project implementation level. It is very important. Yeah,
Yes,
free
Tapunda.
atmosphere.
Very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Is my
Tapunda.
concern is clear.
Yes, fundamentally clear, and it interlinked with Masood Bhai's question as well, because the enabling environment will be enabled if your organization has a plan to deploy some resources and budgets, very few budgets, but resources will be there first, and the program or partners, whatever you need staff need to adhere the responsibility. As we say that the challenge is whose cup of tea is accountability. It's everyone's cup of tea, but first of all you have to sensitize your program partner base, staff base. Then it goes to the field that there will be multiple channels established based on the discussion with the participants, and it's a very highly skilled communication approach. And once they know that we are here to hear them back, and there are some fundamental changes in programming. Obviously, if you want to look at gender based violence program, if you want to talk with the adolescents and give them multiple scopes to reach out to brag or save the children, they will definitely opt out. But if you go and talk to them that how do you feel about this service? They won't say no ever. This is a common phenomena for in power dynamics, right? So the enabling environment is very much important, and
Okay.
it's a cycling. Yeah, Habib Zangina.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for the very comprehensive, actually, presentation. I'd like to commend and appreciate your effort for doing this, because in all the male activities that I have been attending, this one is one of the best and so comprehensive information about
Thanks.
accountability. So, in an occasion of this nature, I think it will be very relevant if maybe if Madam Anika will help us maybe categorize the accountability in such a way that everybody will be on the same page, like maybe what is upward accountability and who are the persons that are supposed to receive this accountability and what does it focus on. So then coming to downward accountability, as they said, who are the kind of persons, stakeholders that are supposed to benefit from that accountability, and what does it focus on. Sometimes they even take it to side where accountability is. I think if there is time, you can just shed more light on this. That one will help us to be on the same page, because it's like this is the beginning lecture on accountability. Whatever we are going to be doing subsequently, it will help us understanding, okay, when we are talking about accountability, there are some stakeholders on top of us, there are some
Yeah,
beneath us, there are some at our level.
lateral,
So I
horizontal.
think,
There are
yes,
some
yes,
internal,
unify.
right?
Yes, exactly. So maybe you can just shed more light so that we can all be on the same page. Thank you very
So I
much.
would thank you. So I would be very brief about it. See, first we talk about downward accountability means the participants, right, whom we work for. So there are mechanisms to set that we were discussing, that how to set. If first you provide information, before providing information, you have to sensitize all your staff about the messages they want to disseminate. It has to be one voice. No, in one project, multiple staff cannot disseminate multiple information on accountability and program to participant. It will create more confusion. So the feedback won't be captured as you desired. So the first thing is downward accountability for our participants. The second one is upward to the donors. If you have regions, obviously your member countries, as Save the Children has that uh, the diagram of, hierarchy, right? So the donors needs to understand what we are deploying in our programming is based on the feedback of our participants, not it is out of the box brainstorming of the program managers. It's not anymore. It has to be real. It has to have a relevance, and they needs to understand. That's why I gave you the link on grand bargain and few other very useful link on accountability for effective population. It's the AAP strategies by UN RC office, because everything is interlinked. In 2022, the resident coordinators of United Nations headquarters, if it's a she, her 50% job description is all about accountability now. So it's a global agenda to fulfill the grand bargain. So it's down upward, and the horizontal means you cannot act single-handedly in a community, right? You need peer organizations, you need advocacy to governments, because once you are working with government for system strengthening, obviously what is going to happen, what is happening in there, our mothers, our children who are coming to the health sectors, so, they cannot reach out to save or plan or name any organization directly, but government officers are there. So your accountability mechanism shall be there, prominent. If not, there should be scopes to identify, to create a dialogue. So the horizontal phase is huge, and internal, I meant that you have your program, you have your finance, you have your HR. If your HR doesn't adhere the accountability mechanism, so the employee is not entitled, or the partnership agreement won't be entitled. If you are a partner, you are not entitled to adhere the accountability responsible of your first organization, right? I mean, the donor organization or aid organization. So the HR needs to be influenced, and it has to have a say on it. You're developed to perform, or your performance, mainly in your performance. There has to be a role holder inside the program. So they're monitoring and learning. If it is monitoring, who is taking care of all the meal components, which is fine, but monitoring has to have a uh, clear understanding how a participation is going. Is it meeting the standard? Because Save the Children adopts quality benchmark. I'm sure you are very much well aware of quality benchmark. So the QB is covering the accountability mechanism, whether the posters and stickers that the project needs to needed to install in the center. Is it there? And does the children or mothers who is sitting for a triad system or health waiting area, does she has an idea what's the poster is all about? So there are monitoring, a big part of monitoring. And um, internal, have I missed? I think I have covered.
Yes,
So
Yes,
another,
thank you so much for the elaboration. Thank you so much.
another two person raise your hand first, and Teddy. Teddy,
Ranjit,
you can ask your question.
Chitadi.
Teddy, and then Ronjit. First one is Teddy. Please ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Anika, and the organizers. I hope that this type of learning will continue on the rest of meal components as well. That's the monitoring, the evaluation, as well as the learning one, as we have seen the accountability in a good way in this session. I do have 2 pointers that you may I expect that you may address them. The first one is you try to touch it a bit earlier on the emergency versus the development programs in the context of accountability. You have raised some pointers, but I want you to add more on that, because having of the protocols, the manuals, the guidelines on accountability is not an issue in my setup, at least. I can't assure on the others ones, but in my context, having of those guidelines is not a problem anymore. And we have a lot of resources on that. But when we come to the practicability, there is a huge, a huge gap I perceive in different projects, especially on the emergency. Uh, the emergency programs are in a rush to save lives, to prevent more distractions. So, in that context, it would be much difficult to install or to set up an accountability platform to the our clients or our beneficiaries. So,
Yes.
even in some times, there would be a state of emergency on some locations, following some distractions, following
Mm,
floods, epidemics, outbreaks, such like conditions. So, in that
absolutely.
scenario, installing of accountability in that setup would be a bit difficult than the development workers. So, I want to have some view from you. Uh,
Yeah.
how is there any mechanisms that we can install accountability in such
Thank you,
scenarios?
Teddy.
Uh,
Very
the
important question,
practicability,
Teddy. Yeah.
yeah, the
Practicability. Considering the
practicability,
practicability. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
So,
let me pass to the second point quickly,
oh,
and I will
yes,
go out. Um, uh, we know the perspective or the need of our clients or beneficiaries is dynamic. Once the project starts within 3 6 months, there would be a feedback from our clients. And as we go implementing of the project, since there is a dynamics in the context of our environment, the feedback of the first client at some point of interval, like 1 year after or 6 months later, the feedback would be totally different. So we need
yep.
to have a consistent measuring of their feedbacks or our clients' feedback. So, is there any recommendation?
Right.
feasible to
Right.
conduct the whole project period, accountability in the whole project period, it costs us, obviously. So there should be some sort of interval that we have to conduct it. So I want to have
Absolutely.
some view from you on that also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Teddy, thank you. Very good question. For the time constraint, I could not elaborate how accountability in emergency context in Bangladesh officers doing, because we have a emergency meal plan where post distribution monitoring, help desk for health post. It is contextual. The help desk is not working for the for the emergency projects, which is mostly running through program from for wash facilities or in education, but it is more effective in health sector in emergency. So post distribution monitoring is very effective for for example flood or fire rush, fire incidents, I'm sorry. So the emergency meal plan has a sector wise understanding of accountability needs and a practicality, and it is very much fundamental to see and revise the information needs and the information scopes, because there are a pool of dedicated staff and partners and volunteers in emergency who are always in a training to deploy the message of emergency responses. Along with it, we embed the accountability information. For an example, you have a fire incident in one of your village, so their information is an aid, right? They need to know where to go and have a shelter, and the place where they are taking the shelter, that has to have a minimum standards of information. If it is verbal, if it is written. However, the project and meal team decides information needs to be shared, that you can give feedback on this and that, and you are entitled for this and that. So information sharing, I'm repeatedly saying to all of you that this is very fundamental for any emergency and development projects, that when and how and where can they give it back to the organization. And for short-term projects, yes, Save the Children, we were suffering for short-term project feedback from participants. After the project ended, they are coming because they are not well informed. So the shorter project planning we are including. Still, we couldn't do all the sectors across all the sectors, but we are trying to do one interesting fact, that once the project is awarded, there is a short information sharing plan that needs to be communicated to the participants, that these are the tenure. You see that the tenure is important for the project, as it is the nature and design of the project. So it has to have the participant has to have a clear understanding of the timeline, because that creates another phenomena when they come again to us, that we were in this project and we want these and we want that to resolve. So short-term projects recommendation is you put a emphasis on your messaging, and the staffs who are involved here, they need to understand and they need to follow the instruction, and it has to come under monitoring system. Whatever the tool you use in monitoring, but it has to come. You have to understand whether the participants are getting the information on your tenure. So Teddy, I don't know whether I could cover.
Okay. Okay.
If you're not
Next one.
Ranjit.
We will finish a couple of 5 minutes. So next one is
Yes.
Ronjit.
Last one,
Please ask the
Raj.
question. Yeah.
Yes, it's a great presentation, Anika Didi. Also, thanks to
Thank
all
you.
of you and respected BIL colleagues who are in this platform. I need to understand that I have seen the donors are not much interested in that accountability approach. So have you prepared any way forward plan for that? First.
Yes,
Second
yes.
question is, it is indicated whether the feedback has been received and resolved or not. There was 3 points. Are there any other points that we should consider capture and highlighting in front of donors? I think you have already captured if you shared a few of them. Thank you.
Second question, you mean the the reports we produce?
Yes.
Ranjit? Okay, the public version, I have to go and check back with our comms advocacy. So definitely, I will share with the Digital Mail Hub. So you would get the understanding that how we are developing disseminating the reports. It's very comprehensive report. And yes, donor interest. So yeah, we are what we are doing is when we opt out for any proposal, we deliberately include accountability as a separate section, that how the project will establish and how the project will obviously establish the mechanism. And another task we do is in every evaluation, every assessment you name, there has to have a participation and accountability section. It is a mandate within us. Other than that, no donor reports, no proposals would be completed. So these are some two techniques we have adopted, and it's working really well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for everyone. Actually, our time is over. Sir, there are some questions in chat box. Sorry for that. We have started 8 p.m. So now 9:30. So 1.5 hour is gone. So next webinar, of course, you will attend the next webinar. Next webinar will be held. I am sharing the last. Sorry, just 1 minute. So our next webinar will be and next 11 November for this very important webinar for us. He is very much experienced person from Malay, here Bangladesh. So hopefully all of you will join in the next webinar. So today we want to finish. Anikapa, would you finish your word on what? Any word?
Okay, definitely I have to thank each of you because it is the 1.5 hour that you were with us. Obviously, I will try to get back some. Okay, Uttam Kumar Shami, can you please unmute? So, concluding as a concluding remark, I would say that this is something very new, and this is a qualitative approach of a program that the time is really critical for all of us as we are graduating to another level of in our country. So the donor mapping is been changing. The quality needs to be evident and prominent. So if we can all the organization across the world, if it's there is a single framework that we can adopt and adhere, that would have been really great. And we can start initiating from Digital Mail Hub to make a accountability movement. It's an open discussion and food for thought for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Anika.
I say goodbye.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Anika, for your valuable time, and thank you all. Good night. See you again soon. Okay. Have a good night.